that. It's kind of like the beauty guru thing, like products I won't be rebuying in 2021. Okay, the next sentimental houseplant is this baby monstera, which is thirsty right now, so just humor me. I feel like every time I want to feature a plant, it's like looking half dead, and I'm like, you guys, I promise my plants are healthy for the most part. This Monstera deliciosa baby, I actually grew from seed, and I showed a lot of the process of that in a video that I will link up in the cards, but I bought the seeds from Plant Flicks, and then I planted them, and along with a bunch of other houseplant seeds too. I'm going to be doing that again in a few months, like planting more seeds, because they sent me some extra seeds as a thank you for making a video, which was very nice. And there's 4 seedlings planted in here, so it's a little bit fuller than it would be if it was just one. This is a plant that is sentimental right now because I feel like it will be sentimental later. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm always kind of thinking about future generations of my family and what they'll think of little old me and Daniel, and I don't know, like, what will they make of our life? So I just kind of think of this plant and I think about it becoming like the size of that plant right there eventually, and maybe when it's in like the care of my kids after I've passed away, you know? So I don't know, it's a little morbid, but I kind of think that it's really cool to think about where this plant will be, and the possibility that this plant could outlive me is very big. If I keep it alive and if everyone else keeps it alive, I think it could happen. So yeah, really excited to see where this little baby goes. And I'm honestly just so proud of myself for growing it from seed. And if you're interested in seeing that process, again, check out that video, starting houseplant seeds. All right, the next sentimental houseplant is this Raven ZZ. You can see it's a little bit thirsty, so it's kind of flopping around. It's a theme of the video, like I said, but anyway, this Raven ZZ is so special to me because all of these plants, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces in this plant, and all 4 of those pieces, where did the light go? Hello? Okay. This plant is so special to me because there are 4 individual pieces in here, and I got all of those pieces from different plant swaps from different people. So I feel like it's really special. I kind of, once I did it twice, like once I got 2 different Raven ZZs from a plant swap, I just decided that if there's someone at the plant swap with a Raven ZZ, I'm gonna try to get it, because how cool would it be to have this like big pot of one plant that is just made up of a bunch of cuttings from the community. Oh, that's so cute. I love that idea. So anyway, that's kind of what this plant has become to me. And I did actually, listen to this, I did find a Raven ZZ at a local store here in Columbia, like at Lowe's, which I was so surprised by, because the Lowe's here, I think are going to have good plants. I've heard that like sometimes Walmart will have like Hoya Lisa, and I'm like, what? So I'm pretty excited to like see what all of that is going to be like, do some plant shopping in the spring. Really exciting. But you know what I noticed? So I bought a Norfolk Island pine from Lowe's a couple weeks ago, I guess, and I was asking if they had any paper to wrap the plant, because obviously it's cold outside, and if you're leaving a store with a plant to go outside in the winter, you need to make sure that it's covered with paper or something to keep, you know, the cold breeze out of its leaves and whatever. This is something that I read online, and I also heard from someone who works at a nursery in Virginia. So I asked if they had any paper to wrap the plant, and they looked at me like I was crazy. And I was just like, and you still sell plants in the winter? And like, I'm just sure that people walk out in like 15-degree weather with a house plant, and then it dies and they have no idea why, and they just think that they're incompetent, but really it's Lowe's. So yeah, I thought it would be really special if this plant was just made up of a bunch of cuttings and just like plants from other people. And I do want to combine it with the one that I found at Lowe's, just to make a really big full plant, because I don't tend to like to keep the same plant type in 2 different pots just to have more plants. Okay, so the next sentimental house plant is this Monstera standeliana. And listen to me when I say this, I never thought that I would show this plant in a video or like to any capacity, like show it off, because this plant has been the bane of my existence for the better part of a year at least, because what it did was, okay, you can see that there was this growth, okay? We're gonna like blot this growth out because that is new. So, okay, so we had this long stick here that had leaves all along it and it was beautiful. And then suddenly they all started dying off, and I'm not exactly sure why, but what I've gathered is that this plant is just a little bit picky about what it wants. So I just wasn't giving it what it wanted, which, you know, the plant was vocal to tell me that I was doing something wrong. So I potted it up in a bigger pot, gave it a moss pole, and then it still was not going very well. So what happened was it grew this long stem, and then ignore this beautiful section here, okay? So ignore that, pretend that doesn't exist. How can we simulate this? Okay, there we go. You can see, this looks terrible. Look how ugly, like, no. Okay, so it put out this really long thing. The leaves were tiny. They were getting smaller and smaller as we went up, okay? And then from here, it put out this huge runner that was probably like 3 feet long, and it had tiny pure white leaves on it. And I was like, please let me know what you're doing so that I can like get with it. And it didn't let me know. So I cut off the runner a couple months ago, and I just waited to see what would happen. And right before I moved, well, first of all, this plant has gotten spider mites like 9 times in the last year. I don't know why it was such a spider mite magnet, but actually right before I moved, I noticed that it had spider mites. So I put it in a bag. Like I put a mini trash bag over it and just sealed it at the bottom, because I knew that on the move, my plants were all gonna be touching each other. They were gonna be all up in each other's jelly, and I did not want the plant to give everybody spider mites, which with my luck would have happened. I would have had an entire moving truck full of spider mite plants. So I just sealed it off to keep it normal. And then, listen to this, I took off the bag, and there was no spider mites whatsoever, and it was in the bag for probably like a week, honestly, because I kind of forgot about it, and I was like, I don't know if that plant's gonna make it. I'm just gonna leave it in the bag so that I can put off coming to terms with that reality, because this plant was, I think, like $75. We're not gonna waste this money, we're gonna keep trying. And so I took the bag off eventually, and I noticed that there were no spider mites. And honestly, this might have to do with the fact that it was probably very humid in that little bag. And then a few days later, or maybe like a week later, I noticed that it was putting out this. So this little offshoot from that bottom node, you can see it started growing, and it put out these 2 beautiful leaves, which is very exciting. I don't see another leaf coming just yet, but that's exciting. And then it started putting off this offshoot, which you can see here. Very exciting. We have lots of leaves on this brand new branch. You can see the newest one has like a pretty beautiful stripe of variegation there. Thankfully, the variegation has not left this plant, like no matter what I did. Like even up here, you can see that it's still variegated, so that's cool. It makes me think that this plant has stable variegation, but I'm not exactly sure. Let me talk about why this plant is sentimental. Number one, it's kind of a nod to old me, who was just getting into buying plants like this and was very nervous about it and not sure about her skills. And also number two, it's very sentimental to me because it represents pushing forward and not giving up on a plant right away, because this plant, I'm not even kidding, like probably for a year just sat and did nothing and irritated me, and I don't know why I held on to it. Like really probably just for old me is the only reason why I held on to it. I really wanted to keep trying, and now I see the benefits of keeping trying and holding on to that hope that the plant will make a turnaround, because like this is an epic turnaround, and like I love this plant now so much. It is so cool. So it's just very sentimental to know that like I was patient and now this happened, which is very cool. I don't know how long this video is, but I think I'm going to end it there. So thank you so much for coming along with me and hearing about these sentimental houseplants. I really encourage you to look around your houseplant collection and think about the plants that sort of make your heart sing in a different way, because I know that we all love every single one of our plants, but there definitely are certain plants for me and probably also for you that just really give you something extra. extra. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that and figure out why and really nurture that, because that will really deepen your relationship with your houseplants and make you want to care for them, make you